Several weeks ago, you guys will remember, those of you that follow this series or follow me in social media know that October was an incredibly busy month for me, as was early November, for public speaking. I did a presentation for the Wilkes-Barre Chamber as part of Wilkes-Barre Connect. Then the following week, I delivered a keynote to really a capacity room at Bloomsburg University, 400 people, standing room only. And then the following week after that, which was early November, I had done 3 presentations in Las Vegas at PubCon. So needless to say, I was really busy over the last 6 weeks or so. So what I want to do in the next 3 videos, video 75, 76, and 77, is unlock some of that content. I felt that the keynote that I delivered at the Ziegler School of Business at Bloomsburg University as part of their annual business conference was really well received. I had a ton of follow-ups, and I want to share some of that content with you over the next couple of videos. So I was asked to talk about entrepreneurship, execution, and giving back to the community. And my first reflection was that, let's just think about entrepreneurship for a second, right? Entrepreneurs are the modern day rock stars. You don't need a guitar or need to know how to play the piano to be considered a rock star these days. You just need to build a successful business. You need to raise venture capital. And, there are these figures that are almost like larger than celebrities. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Richard Branson, Mark Cuban, Jack Dorsey. And if you don't know who Jack Dorsey is, he founded Twitter and then decided to take somewhat of a sabbatical from Twitter. So he went and then he founded another multi-billion dollar company called Square. So that is like kind of the backdrop of my keynote, was this idea that, entrepreneurship is really been glamorized, and it's become, when we think of TV shows like Shark Tank and The Apprentice and the show that I was on, Planet of the Apps and Dragon's Den, which is a show over in South Africa and parts of Europe, this idea has hit mainstream. Like, oh my God, you could take an idea, turn it into a mobile app or turn it into a business and become a billionaire, right? So it's good, right? Well, the problem is, as I've said many times to you guys, as part of our candid conversation with one another, is that research suggests that as much as 95% of entrepreneurs fail. So you have these figures that are larger than life. You have all of this reality TV. I mean, Shark Tank seems like it's literally, if the stock market's not open on CNBC, they're playing reruns of Shark Tank. It is totally embedded in the fabric of popular culture. But as you guys know, my goal here is to have a conversation with you guys, as I did at Bloomsburg, not about the ones that fail, but why do the 10% succeed? And I tried to kind of break this down into about a 45-minute presentation that I delivered. And I started off with something that I learned at a conference several years ago, where I was a speaker, and the keynote was Malcolm Gladwell, who is the writer of The Tipping Point, among others. And Malcolm looked out into the crowd, of which I was one of the folks in the crowd. There was about 300 of us. We were international CEOs. And he had said, society kind of has this love affair with entrepreneurship, but they have it wrong. Society thinks that all entrepreneurs are just risk takers, that we have this risk tolerance that makes us unique. And he said, you guys know better than this. And he was speaking again to the room of us that were pretty successful. He had said, society only has it partially right. He said that successful entrepreneurs, and again, I underline successful, are social risk takers, but they are extraordinarily operationally risk averse. So in other words, if you have an idea and you're a successful entrepreneur, whether or not someone tells you that you're going to succeed or fail isn't as important as whether or not you could think through and put together a plan to execute your idea. So having, as you guys know, having built and sold multiple businesses, invested in a portfolio of 20 companies, I think that there are three primary things that define successful entrepreneurship. And that's what I'm going to talk about over these next couple of videos. But before I get there, there are three lessons that I learned. Number one, ideas tend to be overrated. Number two, your mindset, your psychology is much more important than your idea. And number three, it's all about execution. So let's talk about the first pillar of successful entrepreneurship, and that is your psychology. I call it a winning mindset. Success leaves clues. That's one of the sort of things that sticks out in my mind, the sort of takeaways from my 20 years of dedication to professional development. Success leaves clues. So in other words, if you want to be part of the successful 10% or 5% that succeed, you've got to find out and replicate what they're doing. The winning mindset. So unlocking your personal power. So we've chatted about this a lot, and I'm going to repeat it here because I repeated it from the stage at Bloomsburg University. But all success in life, but particular with entrepreneurship, starts with the belief that you have the potential to achieve anything you set your mind to. Everything is within you right now to take the first step. You don't have to wait. If I had a dime for every person, if we both had a dime for every person that approached us with the best idea since sliced bread, we would be very, very rich. For whatever the reason, people don't believe in themselves enough to take the first step, or they come up with reasons why not to. You have everything you need within you right now. You don't have to wait. The other thing is your capacity for success. We all have extraordinary capacity to be successful, and it's not luck. It's actually hard work that gets us, that puts us in those lucky opportunities. And I've said this so many times, guys, but it's so critical. Don't evaluate what you've done in the past to decide whether or not you're going to take action right now towards your business objective. Your human potential, your potential to be successful, it's an iterative, lifelong process. It starts now, but it'll have a compounding effect over the course of your career. This is getting that winning mindset in place if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. It's about getting better every day and investing in your personal and professional growth on a regular basis. You need to demand more from yourself than anybody would ever expect from you. I can't really, overemphasize the importance of the fact that that personal and professional growth and business success, it's an investment, just like anything else. It doesn't happen automatically. You will likely hear more no's than you ever wanted to. Part of being successful is being able to appreciate the uphill battle and, quite honestly, the mountains that need to be climbed in order to experience that level of success. So there are two things that I think really could change the game for you as you get that mindset in place. The first one is your expectations around whether or not you'll be successful, and the second is the standards that you have. The reality is that most of us quit before we ever get to the finish line. And the weird thing about it is that people often quit right prior to the finish line. Don't know why. It's part of the human condition. But if you want to be successful, you can't be one of them. At the Tony Robbins conferences, he kind of ingrains into your mind that success is near. Just when you think it's so far, it's near. So your expectation of success, just the belief, right? Think and grow rich. The belief that you will be successful, will impact whether or not you are. Henry Ford said, and I agree with him, whether or not you think you can or you can't, you're right. And that is the case with success. I've chatted in previous AMAs about goal setting, but when we start talking about expectations, you have kind of two options. You can be reactive or you can be proactive. If you're proactive, you need to follow a process of goal setting. Those goals need to be highly specific. They need to be written down and they need to make you feel uncomfortable. If you can't check the box on all three of those things, don't be surprised if you're part of the 90% of entrepreneurs that are sexified by the dream of building $1 billion company, but never build $1 million company or never build a successful company, period. You don't want to be that person. So in addition to raising your expectations or setting your expectations for success, you need to raise your standards. Too often entrepreneurs fail because they fail to set high standards for success. Might sound gimmicky, but at the end of the day, are your standards for what you should do or what you must do stretching your potential, or are they limiting your potential? So we all have a long list of shoulds. I should, if I'm in business, I should raise some investment capital. I should hire a financial consultant or CFO or a controller. I should hire that operations person to help me grow the business. But your standards shouldn't be measured by what you should do. Your standards should be measured by what you make a must. The things as it relates to how to become successful, the things that you make a must are the things that you're most likely to do. And turning your shoulds into musts is one of the keys to having a winning mindset. So, and finally, as it relates to setting up your mindset, we've chatted about this, but where you focus your energy flows. So you're going to have a ton of ups and downs in entrepreneurship, probably a lot more downs than ups, especially early on. But successful entrepreneurs quickly resolve or move past setback and challenges by focusing on solutions rather than problems. If you focus on problems, guys, you know this, that is all you'll see. There'll be problems everywhere. But if you focus on solutions, the problems won't seem so insurmountable. And one of the greatest challenges you're going to have will be to stay positive and resolute in the face of constant potholes and nasty weather. In other words, you are going to have a long list of things that you either should do or problems that you think you have. But until you're able to focus on solutions and focus on the positivity of the experience, you will be at a disadvantage. So focusing on your priorities instead of your problems is the difference between success and failure. So in addition to having the perfect mindset or the entrepreneurial mindset, the other two things are skill-related. You've got to develop the necessary skills. And then finally, you need to develop a strategy that is operationally sound. As Malcolm Gladwell said, operationally risk-averse. I will talk about both the skills in the next AMA, and then in the third one, we will talk about being risk-averse operationally. I will see you guys for my next episode. Peace.